validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. We have us a very interesting Tuesday today. Nothing spontaneous has happened. I have not taken the time to go and take a look at the flood yet, the damage done to the flood. I did talk to you guys about the massive quantity of damage that was done from the California fires, but I do have to touch base with you guys about the California flood. There is so much information in the world. I can't keep track of everything, and I do not cover it all, but I try my best to cover as much of it as possible in the short span that I am on the show. So make sure that you guys like and subscribe. I got quite a few people that are giving me some comments in the comment section. I really appreciate you guys for showing us love. Thank you very much. If you guys are interested in coming onto the show, you can always click that link that just popped up into the comment section, approve the link, approve the mic and camera, and then come on to the show. I'll see you guys in the green room. I'll be able to bring you up onto the stage in real time. If your hair and nails ain't dead, sweetheart, I'm sorry, I'm gonna put you up here on the thing. You can turn your camera off if you like, but and we'll be able to hear your voice, but we got to make sure that you're over the age of 18 before I bring you up onto the show. So let's keep that in mind. As it stands, individuals that are not over the age of 18, you can put your comments in the comment section. Go ahead and tackle that. You also can show us some support. We had some people talking about doing so yesterday. You can always donate something through the special comments, special emojis, tags. You have super likes, super special thanks buttons on there, and the newly acquired gifts that's thrown down by YouTube, where you can just gift a channel some conversation for the success of the podcast. I greatly appreciate it if you do, because it does take a chunk of change to run this. It is not a free system. And note to self, YouTube takes half of everything it gives me, so you got to give me a little bit more so that I can benefit from. It's a business. Either way, check this out. Today's show, we were supposed to be talking about eliminating your tax bill in some countries that will potentially give you guys the ability to put your money in more places. Now, we started having a discussion yesterday where one of the parties was arguing about the $14,600 of non-taxable income that a low-income individual in the midst of poverty can make without being taxed as a W-2 worker. However, as a sole proprietor or a self-employed individual, it's actually about $400 if you make more than $400. They're going to try to tax you. Now, we're going to be going down a list of all of the issues with taxation and what we can do about it in all the countries that we could potentially cover it in. And feel free to comment. You can give shout outs to some of your friends and family, rep your countries. I know that I got a lot of countries up there right now. Special thanks from countries around the world that have been following us as we, one of the most underrated podcast on this platforms, because we're on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. One of the most underrated podcasts on 3 platforms. We definitely want to make sure that we put the information out there. Make sure that you like and subscribe and share the information with some of your friends. If you guys got some comments, I don't have to agree with it. I'll definitely put it up here as long as it's appropriate. You start getting too inappropriate, I have to remove the comments, because remember, not everybody on the channel tonight is going to be over the age of 18. I prefer primarily adults, but you can learn some stuff if you're not over the age of 18. You can learn some stuff because we're talking about business, finance, and passing knowledge around. Common knowledge from the last generation to the next generation is what we used to do, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So if you've got some rational, logical, reasonable questions, by all means, ask them. I know if you ask me a question that's left field, I'm not going to be able to give you an answer for it. And if it's too far inappropriate, you're not even going to get an acknowledgement for it. So with that being said, join me as we try to discover how to eliminate the tax bills that we have to deal with by exploring some countries that definitely aid you in reducing, if not eliminating, a lot of your tax requirements. Tax optimization is a hot topic for anyone looking to maximize their wealth and achieve financial freedom. But did you know that some countries offer unique benefits that can help reduce or even eliminate your tax bill? High taxes in your home country can be a major roadblock to financial freedom. Imagine working hard all year only to hand over a significant chunk of your earnings to the government. It's frustrating, to say the least. For many people, this means living paycheck to paycheck without any real opportunity to build wealth or achieve their long-term financial goals. The reality is, high taxes can be a huge burden, and for some, it's a constant source of stress and anxiety. And to make matters worse, tax laws and regulations are constantly changing, making it difficult to stay on top of what you owe and how to minimize your liability. The good news is that there are countries around the world that offer more favorable tax structures designed to attract foreign investment and talent. These countries are often overlooked, but they can be a game changer for individuals in the businesses looking to maximize their tax burdens, or minimize their tax burdens and maximize their income gains. So let's take a short spin over to Portugal, for example. Portugal's non-habitual residence NHR program offers a 20% flat rate tax on certain foreign sourced income, and in some cases even provides a complete exemption from taxation. Then there's Singapore, which has low and simple tax systems with no tax on dividends and maximum personal income tax rate of 22%. So dividends is money paid from stocks and investments. And there's a maximum of 22% taxation on personal income tax. So if you're living primarily off of dividends, then Singapore is one of the places you want your money to be sitting. And let's not forget about Bermuda. I know everybody's only heard about Bermuda when they're hearing about ships sinking in the Bermuda Triangle, but Bermuda has no payroll taxes, wealth taxes, or inherit tax. I'm going to say that again for you. They got no payroll tax, no wealth tax, and no inheritance tax. That's making it an attractive destination for high net worth individuals. So if you've got money, making money somewhere, and then you decide to wire transfer that bad boy over to an entity over in Singapore, you're good to go. But what if I told you that there's a country that takes tax optimization to a whole new level? A country that doesn't just offer low taxes, but actually provides a way to eliminate your tax bill altogether. That country is Brunei, Brunei, or Brunei, I guess that's how you pronounce it, is a small oil-rich nation on the island of Borneo, and is one of the few countries in the world with no personal income tax. Special shout out to Gulf of America, because he decides to be extremely irresponsible. And with that irresponsibility, I have to take action against that. So, as we've seen with Gulf of America, this is how we behave with individuals that are not respectful or appropriate on the channel. I gave you guys fair warning. You can say just about anything you want to say, but we're not allowing hate speech on the channel. We're not allowing any type of inappropriate, overly inappropriate, because you got to understand, this is an adult channel, so we can fuss and cuss and all that stuff. But devaluing and degrading each other is not what we're doing on this channel. This channel is about helping you guys become better people by making better choices, firsthand accountability, and definitely making sure that you learn something when you walk away from here. So individuals like Gulf of Mexico that decides to put up negative comments and negative vibes on the border. Special shout out to Daddy Your Side. While that is a tad bit inappropriate, at least it wasn't completely left field. Special shout out to Davy Jones, first time on the show tonight. Davy Jones says, do you fear death? Of course not. Do you fear that dark abyss? All your deeds laid bare, all your sins punished. I can afford you an escape. That's a good saying, but I don't think that is necessary, because when I teach you guys to do what you know is right, stand up for what you believe in, you're supposed to defend that by any means necessary, and accept the consequences of your actions before you perform the actions. If you have those 4 fundamental concepts, there is no reason for you to fear death or fear the punishments of the decisions that you've made, because if you understand that your decision will lead you in a certain direction, and if you did not want to go in that direction, you would not make that decision. But if you're going to make that decision knowing that you're headed in that direction, you should not fear consequence. Does that make sense, Davey? He's scratching his head in confusion. Woo, mind blown. That's the worst you're getting out of me. Hey, I appreciate it. I'm okay. There's the occasional individuals that like to come in and heckle from time to time. There are some that like to troll. I'm not going to stop you from doing it appropriately, because let's face it, the more you guys comment on the channel, the more the algorithm is triggered to send it to more people. So more people get to see me, the more you guys are talking. You just can't be completely atrocious like Gulf of America was, because you got to understand that more often than not, that there's somebody here that's going to pop onto this podcast that's under the age of 18, that just this came across their feed for some reason. And I don't know why, because everything in the tags is about taxes. So if you're not old enough to work, you shouldn't be getting a podcast that's talking about business, finance, and taxes. But if you're here, then it was meant for you to learn something while you're here. And kids like to be playful. So it's good for them to come. I'm not going to stop them from coming, but that requires the adults to be a little bit more responsible. Now, if you guys decide to pay for the membership, and we have one of those members only shows on a Sunday night where it is exclusive to the members, where everybody who paid to be here is here, we can be a little bit more reckless in those situations, because the monetization is not going to stop on my channel due to the comments of somebody in my feed. But as we are publicly funded by the ads that are going across your screen right now, I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, too many inappropriateness is not going to go across. It ain't going to stay there, and it's definitely not going to make it on the top screen. Back to our tax discussion, because we talk about business, finance, and investments Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about England. We're going to be talking about some debt-free investment or debt-free interest companies and how to invest in them, because I found a few dozen of them a couple of weeks ago. Usman and a few others, special shout out to them who were here last week watching the show. They tried to invest them. As I told them, they have direct access links, but some countries do not allow non-natives to invest directly into their companies. He found out that I was right, and now he's asking me for the third-party investor platforms that invest in those particular products so that he can invest his money with respects to his religious beliefs, so that his money can make money for him without having to compromise his own personal integrity as to how he earned his income. These are the things that we do on this channel. We teach you how to make yourselves better you. We teach you how to make better decisions, and then you don't have to fear for nothing. So while we're here talking about taxes, you know, I know we were talking yesterday and people are like, oh yeah, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do the other. Well, there's certain things that you're supposed to do. There's a lot of things you don't have to do. I encourage you to do what is in the confines of the law, but we make our own decisions. So when I was just telling you that Brunei does not have personal income taxes, a lot like Singapore, Brunei is one of those places where you could put your money. You can swing around there. You can drop everything over there. You could potentially build an international trust. I would have to get into how to make one of those significant, and then hold control over your assets from that trust. And if you are building a trust that does not have to deal with the taxation in America, then you might have another spin on things. But if there is some taxation on there, you're able to figure it out one way or another as to what you're going to do about that. Because there are ways, like individuals who purchase properties after a certain age in certain states in the United States can apply for tax exemptions where they're not required to pay property taxes. And then if you do a quick deed sale to a trust where the property taxes is already exempt for the original owner, the IRS ain't looking for the property taxes. And if you document the fact that the trust is in possession of the property, the IRS is not going to look for the new owner of the property until you report it to the title deed company. So that means that you are on paper not required to pay taxes already from the individual standpoint. And then since the trust has possession of the property, whatever is not reported is not reported. Now, you do have to understand that I'm going to go through this. I'm not going to teach you guys how to cheat the system, because you do have to realize that the IRS, and I'm going to remind you guys after we get halfway through this, that the IRS has up to 10 years to come after anything they know that you owe them. And I'm going to be telling you ways as to how they find this stuff out. And I'm also going to be telling you ways as to how stuff ends up not being found. And then you do what you think is best. That's all I do, is provide you guys with the most information for you to be successful. If you know the ins and outs of how the top wealthy 1% of Americans gets it done, then you'll understand how you can get it done. And then if you do whatever you think is best, you should end up being successful with a full plethora of all of the information that I provide to you. Now, back to Brunei. The residents in Brunei won't pay a single dollar in taxes if they earn any money in taxes. So the potential benefits of moving to Brunei or optimizing your taxes through one of the other countries that I mentioned earlier is enormous. But you want to imagine being able to keep more of your hard-earned money and using it to invest in your future travel around the world. And you want to invest it in future retirement plans. You want to invest it in the ability to stop having to work for somebody else your whole life, right? And simply enjoy the fruits of your labor. Now, the possibilities are endless, and it's definitely worth considering if you're serious about achieving financial freedom. We've got a lot of information, and I ran out of time. I started the show like I think 10 or 15 minutes late today because I was still gathering information for this. Because I do research every day for the channel, and yeah, I've got like 24 hours to get all of the information together for tomorrow. So there's a large quantity of information that I bring to you guys. And then there's an even larger quantity of information that I got to bring to you guys on a follow-up show the week after or the week after that, that gives you guys more insight on the original topic so that you guys know what you can and cannot do, what you should and should not do, and what areas you can start looking at. Because if I found all of this information from public outsourced knowledge, you guys can find the exact same information also, which means that if you focalize your search to one of the specific subtopics that I talked about on the show, then you can get even more knowledge. Now, if you want something that I haven't talked about on the show, definitely you can throw it in the comment section and I can go and do some extensive research and we can make another show about it. Or I can put the answers to your questions in the membership and you'll be able to see it there, because everything in the membership is accessible 24/7, and it does not disappear as quickly as the stuff that's rolling through the live feed. Also, if you guys took the time to go to any of the countries in question and look into the ways that you can set stuff up in those countries. Sometimes you might have to talk to the embassies. Sometimes you might have to talk to some of the commerce and trades out there, but you figure it out you reach those individuals. And if we've got to do a whole show about how to talk to some of the embassies in some of the other countries, I could probably talk about that, but it probably makes more sense to make that a large document in the membership where you guys can find all of the different major contacts in most of the different areas around the world. So wherever you decide to travel, you will be able to find which country that you're trying to go to and what government officials you have to talk to there to kind of help you with figuring out how you're able to get this stuff done in a legal fashion, because that's what you want to do. Making yourself successful and making yourself successful legally are two different things. When you're making yourself successful illegally, you have the fear of what happens if somebody finds out. And if you're making yourself successful legally, it doesn't matter if they find out. See what I'm saying? So with that being said, one of the things that I wanted to point out, because over here in America, we have a lot of ways that we can save on some of our taxation. And I was telling you guys about some of this stuff before, but since it's part of our tax show today, I'm going to tell you again. And I have a lot more stuff to add to it, but I'm going to go into detail into some of those things that I told you guys before. First thing I want to talk about is the banking system. Banks and credit unions alike do not have to report every transaction to the government. However, they are required to report certain types of transactions. Currency transaction reports that are called CTRs. And a currency transaction report is any type of transaction, be it cash or a digital wire transfer of any kind. So if your money moves from one location to another, the bank must file a CTR for cash transactions exceeding $10,000 in a single day. That's not over the month. So, truth be told, you could wire transfer $5,000 or $7,000 at a time out of a bank account into another account. And if you're doing that for 30 days, you could probably move a lot more money unreported than what you would move reported if you moved a massive quantity of money. And this includes individual transactions over $10,000, multiple cash transactions aggregated to over $10,000 in one business day. So just because you make a bunch of small payments in 24 hours, if it meets or exceeds that $10,000, they're about to say, hey, this dude just spent $10,000 out of our bank. Now, if, like I said, if you're doing less than that, they're not required to do it. Now, I know that somewhere between 9,000 and 10,000 are probably going to do it anyway, but definitely 10,000 or above, it's going to happen. They have the suspicious activity reports where banks must file an SAR for transactions that suspect may involve money laundering, tax evasion, or other criminal activities. So if you are making a weird transaction on a regular basis, then they're required to report those. But if you're doing a specific transaction on a regular basis, then they're not likely to report anything that is normal transactions. Now, what you're going to have to understand waitress doesn't report her tips. If she doesn't say how much she's got in her pocket, nobody else is going to know how much she's got in her pocket. But you're supposed to tell them everything that you have in your pockets. They incentivize that by tying your refund to telling them how much money you actually make. They didn't take it out of your pocket, there's less motivation to say anything. Now, non-financed real estate transfers starting December 1st of 2025, where certain professionals will be required to report information on FinCEN about non-financed residential real estate transfers when the guarantee is a legal entity or trust. Now, that's going to be something that is going to be new. So they had a situation where that wasn't the case, but non-financed real estate transfers are going to have to start being reported once, and that's going to be one that's documented. So December of 2025. So, up until then, nothing there. It's important to note, though, that CTRs must be filed electronically within 15 calendar days after the transaction. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't happen. Banks are not required to inform customers about the CTRs unless the customers ask. So if you're making a large quantity of transactions over a small period of time and you ask your bank if they have filed any CTRs on your account, they may tell you. They may not have been filing CTRs on your account before, but once they look at the transaction history, if you're concerned about the CTRs, there's a strong possibility that they may become concerned about the CTRs. Don't ask, don't tell. So if you go and tiptoe over there and be like, hey, have you been reporting my transactions to the IRS? And they're going to be like, well, we wasn't, but we will now. So it's a plus and a minus. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe as y'all pop in. Now, certain entities such as other banks, government agencies, and public corporations are exempt from CTR filing requirements. So you have to understand that until you fit into that public corporation, then they're likely to, and that's going to be a corporation that is clearly going to be moving massive quantities of money around, and they're just exempt because you will be reporting every day, every couple hours. You'd be wasting electronic paper because they're going to be moving so much money around. But those are the individual companies that are going to be exempt from the filing. But if you're not one of those entities, you're not going to be exempt. And if you're not going to be exempt, then you're likely to have to cover the whatever reporting that has happened. You would likely to have to recover from that with a tax exemption. Special shout out to Can't Say That Online. I love you, King. I appreciate it. You are definitely cutting it close with the profile name. I never said that your profile name has to be appropriate. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now, there is a maximum retirement account contribution, and contribute the maximum allowed tax advantage accounts like 401ks. Nah, you're okay. You're okay. It's not a problem. You're okay. It's not a problem. I wasn't expecting all of that. That looks like a kneecap. I don't know. Is that a is that a oh, that's a leg, that's a belly button. Oh my goodness, child, girl, why you came on here doing all that with the what? Are you mad at? No, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. I didn't think that you would put your name on your channel as that. That's supposed to be a secret that your boyfriend or your husband find out about. That's not supposed to be something that you broadcasting all over the world. You know what I mean? You know, no fella got, face chair on they profile. So I like, do I like your picture? Well, I can't really tell. It's like this big on my computer screen right now. I know that the YouTube logo was covering the inappropriate area. So somebody else tell me what's going on with that photo. This is one of those and heavens to Murgatroyd. Well, no, I find it hilarious that you did that. And I was checking with some of the others, and it doesn't look like everybody else can see your comments. So I'm guessing that you're going to be one of those exclusive channels. But if you like and subscribe and join the membership, oh boy, that is interesting. That it definitely made my day. I wasn't expecting all of that and a bag of chips. So we were talking about maximizing retirement account contributions, and this is one of the ways that you'll be able to reduce taxation, because when you contribute the maximum allowed to tax advantage accounts like 401ks, IRAs, and HSAs, for 2025, you'll be able to contribute up to $23,000 for your 401k, $30,000 to $30,500 if you're 50 or older, and you're taking advantage of the deductions, because when you consider itemizing deductions, if they exceed the standard deduction amount, common deductions, including mortgage interest, state and local taxes, and charitable contributions, you would then be able to get a larger deduction rate. The standard rate is based off of the tax bracket that you're in and the quality of so you have something interesting for your friends. Well, if you definitely share with the channel with your friends, I can provide them with more information. You guys can join the membership and we can talk further. You subscribe to the channel. Oh boy. That's the equivalent of throwing panties on a stage while I'm talking about taxes. Ah, okay. And apparently a lot of people are finding that entertaining. Um, so yeah, these are ways that you will be able to save a larger quantity of taxes, because basically what happens is that they have a set quantity of taxes you're supposed to pay, and based on the standard deduction rate, they'll take off a certain amount of it. Now, if you have itemized deductions that exceeds the standard amount, then you can benefit from having the itemized deductions. Now, if you're going to go the route of having itemized deductions, it would be in your best interest to take detailed notes of all of your taxations and itemizations. She says, got some good pictures for you. Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to put those into the live feed, because apparently you're limited to only me seeing your comments coming in, from what I'm being told. But the only thing I can tell you is join the membership and put it there. That's all I can. What they say, slide it to the DMs and put them there. Yeah. So as I was saying, when we start talking about itemized taxation, you can save a lot more money off of itemized taxation, but you have to have proof of the documentation. I would recommend that you keep a hard copy where you have the original copy somewhere, but you also scan the original copy and print out the scan of that original copy, and then basically have you a filing cabinet somewhere in your house or in a storage unit somewhere that just all of your taxation, all of your tax deductions are located there. If you're in a flood zone, I try to keep that bad boy above ground. I try to keep a PDF somewhere where you put it on a save file and have a save file on the thumb drive and have the thumb drive in more than one location. You might want to get you a safety deposit box and put the thumb drive in a safety deposit box. I don't know. There's a lot of ways that you can store this information, because again, since the IRS can come after you 10 years after they think you owe them money, you want to keep your tax money for got money for you, King. Well, if you want to donate money to the channel, you can always do so using the special likes, special emojis, special thanks, straight up cash donations. And also there are YouTube gifts up there where you can get like the little gem thingies and send them out, and that throws contributions to the podcast. It notifies me that you have sent contributions. But for the interest of fairness, I'm going to be honest with you guys, full transparency, YouTube takes half of what you guys give me. So if you really want me to have 50, you got to send 100, because YouTube's going to take half of it. You want me to have 10, you got to send me 20, because YouTube's going to take half of it. You want me to get $10, you're probably going to have to send me 20, because they're going to take half of it. So whatever you decide to do, I greatly appreciate it, because it helps pay for the podcast, because the channel is expensive. YouTube is not cheap to use. I haven't even paid for advertisement with YouTube yet. YouTube charged me like $500 or $700 a month worth of advertisement just to run the show outside of running the show. I ain't even trying to dip into that yet. Oh, he said $50. Well, if you go ahead and throw it down, we'll get it. And if that's a lot of zeros, if you throw it down, we'll get it. And YouTube will take half of it. We'll get the rest of it and then put it to a good cause. Now, when you use your tax losses, tax loss harvesting. Tax loss harvesting is selling investments at a loss to offset capital gains, and up to $3,000 of ordinary income you can do this with. You can invest in municipal bonds, where interest from these bonds are often exempt from federal taxes. When you're dealing with those municipal bonds and government trust bonds, where you're basically buying U.S. debt, buying into the deficit, you're putting your money in places where they're not going to tax that shit. You contribute to a 529 plan. While not deductible on federal taxes, the contribution may be deductible on your state taxes. Special shout out to Z. It is not possible for me to have a booger in my nose because, I'm always fidgeting. And at some point, I know I would have acquired the notion that there was something there, and then I would have had to go fishing for it before the show started. So I know that there's nothing there. It's a mustache up in this area right here. But I appreciate, and then you can't make me look because the camera, I can see myself. So that also means that I would see it if you see it. He said good stuff. Special shout out to Z. That would have been one of those flick your face kind of things had we been in person, though. Utilize FSAs when you contribute to flexible spending accounts for healthcare and dependent care expenses. Using pre-tax dollars, you'll be able to benefit from that as well. See, I'm over here fidgeting. Now, consider relocating, because if you move to a state with lower or no income tax, you could significantly reduce your overall tax burden, because not all states does state taxes, and some of the states that do state taxes are not doing tax deductions, as many tax deductions, because Trump is doing away with a lot of those tax deductions. I remember the troll. He's back. Special shout out to Michael. He's back again to troll the podcast. He says, trying to act intelligent. Well, I don't have to try, sir. I've got 3 degrees to prove the fact that I'm intelligent. Special shout out to Puerto Rico. Special shout out to Puerto Rico. We'll add you to the list of places that we talk about this week. On Wednesday, we're going to be talking about England. I know we got to talk about Egypt, New Zealand, and New England. No, we're talking about England. The difference between England and New England. I'm going to specify that with the England show. But England, New Zealand, and there was another new that we were supposed to, it might have been New England. We're going to be talking about those. And now I guess we're going to be talking about Puerto Rico as well, because there's definitely ways that we can make making money for us in multiple countries around the world. And there's a lot of countries around the world, believe it or not. We touch on at least one a week. Sometimes we touch on quite a few, but we do a good job of trying to make sure that you guys know that you can go other places, find a cheaper standard of living, find a profitable investment portfolios, diversify your investment portfolios, and potentially have ways to make money for you that's untaxed or taxed less, depending on where you go. Special shout out to Who first time tonight. The daddy of Mike Epps. I think Mike Epps is older than me, but I do make it look a whole lot better than Mike Epps. And then he says, okay, Little John. It's more like, okay, something like that. And then yeah, with the bottle of Patron, but yeah. And just found your channel tonight. Subscribe. Hey, I appreciate it. It's hard to find. We are a hidden gem. We are the most underrated podcast across 3 platforms, because unlike most podcasts that's about devaluing other people and talking about how rich people got money, but never talking about how we need to make money. And this isn't a red or blue pill or black pill podcast. And we definitely don't have a bunch of hot chicks up here flaunting their stuff while we're in the midst of a group conversation. So there's really no incentive for you to be here. It's just a man in a suit talking about how to make, save, and invest money. And then on Thursday through Sunday, we're talking about how to improve our decision-making skills, how to improve our socialization, improve our network, improve the interactions that we have with our network. And you're only coming to this podcast to learn something. So it's yeah, you're only coming to this. If you don't get all of the information from here, you're going to get enough information from here to know what questions to ask, because you don't know that you don't know until you find out that you didn't know that. Then you can start asking, because not a lot of times is it that we're not successful because we don't apply ourselves. We just don't know what questions to ask. So if I'm talking about this, that, and everything in between, we'll come to find certain things that we didn't know existed. And then that'll give us the opportunity to say, oh, hey, what about this? And like I said before, if you look into or focalize your search for any of the things that we've already talked about on the channel, you'll come to find out, well, dip, now I know more stuff. Z says, like your class and sense of humor. Hey, look, I appreciate it. I carry myself with a higher level of self-respect and self-dignity. And at the end of the day, you know, I teach people around me to do the same. I hold people to a level of accountability that I hold myself. I have to work on it every day. I break the stereotype by making sure that I do not adhere to the lower class behavior patterns of the average individual. And it does set me apart. But by standing out, I definitely draw a lot of negative attention after I've drawn a lot of positive attention. And the only thing I can say about the negative attention is let the haters hate, because you know you're doing something right if somebody's pissed off about it, as long as you're doing what you know is right and to the best of your ability, and you're defending that by any means necessary, but you accepted the consequences of your actions before you perform the actions. You just do what you got to do, because the more, if you halt your success based on the fear of what other people say or think about you, you'll never be successful. Donald Trump is a billionaire, and so many people say so many negative things about him. But if he stopped making big money moves, he would have never made it to president the second time in his life. Donald Trump, or not Donald Trump, Elon Musk would have never made it into the White House. He's also a billionaire. I think he's a billionaire that's got more billions than Donald Trump. But these guys would have never made it where they are if they would not have put their money where they're supposed to be. Special shout out to Carl Castellania Castellanelli. Castellanelli. That's a tongue twister. Italian, right? He said ASAP, my man. Look, that's like training day. Annuities, yes or no? Yeah. You want to invest in annuities. Depending on what you're investing in, it may be taxable, but you want to diversify your portfolio as much as possible. Definitely, you guys like and subscribe as you guys are popping in while we're talking about what we're talking about today. Make sure you share it with some people that you know. Get the word out, because it just so happens that we're hitting that season, and we're in that season where the channel starts getting a little bit more traffic, and a lot more people are going to start learning a lot more things. And since I'm talking about a different topic about money making tips, investment opportunities, I just talked to you guys about a bunch of different stocks and bonds and shifts. And y'all weren't here. Invest in plastic. I gave y'all a list. So if y'all go back to either last week or the week before last, I gave you a list of different stocks and bonds and underrated, undervalued stocks that you can invest in that's going to explode soon. And if y'all get in, y'all get in. If y'all don't, this next 4 years at least is so volatile. The broke person can become rich, and a rich person can become broke over the next 4 years. And if you don't take advantage of that, this is a capitalist country. Capitalism is taking advantage of either the weak, the elderly, or the poor. And you don't want to be either one of those. The weak, the ignorant, and the poor is the three that they take advantage of. The stupid, the people who can't do no better, and the people who are so broke that they'll do anything to make a buck. Those are the three people to take advantage of in this country. And capitalism. And if you don't want to be one of those categories, you understand, you got to start making money make money for you, which means you've got to start making some business moves. You got to start making some shifts. Juan, special shout out to Juan HC Black. He said, I got you locked in here. I really appreciate you, buddy. Are you here every night? I have been here every single night since November 1st of 2023. I have not missed a night. The sun doesn't rise without this podcast airing. Typically, we start at about 10:30 Central Standard Time, which is 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, and about 7:30 California time, which is, for those of you that are not in America, that's about 4:30 a.m. for Greenwich time, and about 4:30 a.m. for Universal Standard Time. We have daylight savings time that's about to occur in 5 days. So the clocks are going to go forward an hour, which means that 11 o'clock is going to be 10 o'clock. So since we typically so far usually tip the scale and kind of tee it off at like 11 o'clock, we're going to end up teeing it off at like 12 or not 12:10, because the clock is going to roll. The clock is going to move forward. So 10 o'clock will be 11 o'clock. We typically start at 10 o'clock. So we're going to be starting off there's going to be an hour shift. So for those of you that are not experiencing daylight savings time, you might see an hour, 2 hour shift. I'm going to work it out for you guys. He said, gotcha. Check you mañana. I'm going to see you tomorrow, Z, because tomorrow we're going to be talking about England. We're going to be talking about the companies that you can invest in England, some of the best places to go in England to live. But we're going to be talking about those non-interest, the interest non-debt companies specifically, because Usman was asking me about it. And then I'm going to talk about the different platforms that are investing in them so that you can invest through a third party. And I'm going to get as much details as I can about that, because he's got a religion that doesn't allow him to invest in anything controversial. So I'm going to be showing him where to go to find that stuff. So definitely 7 days a week. Like I said, we're going to try to juggle the situation, because with 10 moving to 11, and that means 11 moving to midnight, instead of us starting at dang near 11, we're going to be starting at dang near 10. And that means that everybody that's been watching us at dang near 11 is going to still be watching us at dang near 11 when daylight savings time happens. So just take a peek, keep watching us. Always, if you like and subscribe and you hit that notification button, when we go live, it'll send you a push notification on YouTube. You can see us from Twitch more often than not while you're looking at us on YouTube. So special shout out to Red Void, Omni81, Liberty Twisher, and Mr. Pibbs over there on the Twitch side of things. And then the rest of you guys that are looking at us from Twitter, Twitter X, you guys can sometimes see us over there on Twitter X as well. I'm working on, because Twitter X is a hit or miss thing, because you got to pay the membership. You got to pay the membership to live stream on Twitter. So like I told you guys, the podcast ain't free. So in order for me to stream on Twitter from YouTube, I got to pay Twitter to go live. So the money y'all are donating to the channel gives me the ability to pay Twitter for y'all to see me on Twitter too. It is what it is. It's not necessarily money in my pocket. It's accessibility to y'all. That's what y'all are paying for when y'all throw money down onto the channel. And then it gives me the ability to go get more hard to come by information, because if it costs money to get that information, it's only going to be available to the membership. As long as it's free knowledge, I'm going to share it to you guys on the channel. But when I got to start buying answers to questions, the answers to those questions will be sold on the membership. And we have different tier levels, and depending on the tier level depends on the accessibility to certain information. But you'll see a lot more things going into the membership in times to come. So definitely keep following us, like and subscribe, share it with some friends that you know and that you don't know. And I'm going to be adding, literally, because we're planning on getting things together so that we can take the podcast around the world. So we're going to be going to a bunch of different areas where we can confirm firsthand that X, Y, and Z country will do whatever it is that we're trying to do because we went there and we did it, or we went there and we talked about it. We went there and we got the information. So we're not just feeding you smoke on this channel. We definitely do. Unlike a seminar or a motivational speaker, we don't just talk about it, we be about it. Everything that I have recommended on this channel, I've taken advantage of. So if you guys aren't taking advantage of it, like Mitchell or Michelle, it's up to you. So Michelle says, can tell by your outfit that you're not getting any money. I like that. I like that. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put this up there on the screen, y'all. So you can tell by my suit that I'm not getting any money. I don't know how you can tell by my suit if I'm getting money or not, since I wear a different suit every day for the last 365 days, haven't been seen with the exact same suit on. Got almost as many different suits on this show as Steve Harvey had when he was on the Family Feud, but you're saying that you can tell that I don't have money. Well, that's a good thing. That's a fantastic thing, because if I'm rolling in the dough, instead of me being like these idiots on social media that are doing the big bricks of money to their face, enough for them to get out of it later, that's good. That's good. I told you guys before on the show that you are supposed to make sure that people think you're broke. If you have to talk about your income, you want to tell them that you've got 30% of what they think that you've got. Then you'll be good to go, because they're less likely to ask you money. So Mitchell says that he's about stupidity. I understand that. I respect your stupidity. Lynn Bigelow. Lynn Bigelow. Special shout out to Lynn Bigelow. First time tonight. He must be psycho. Yeah, I think he is psycho. I think Michelle is. I don't know. It's one of those things, like, he doesn't have anything better to do besides come to the podcast. We're talking about how to better ourselves, and instead of him just looking at this podcast and going away, instead he liked the podcast, subscribed to it, and came back every day to heckle me. So by all means, hang out as long as it's appropriate. So again, special shout out to Bigelow. He says they're all cheap suits. Well, how would you know what a cheap suit looks like, Michael? I meant to say Michael must be psycho. No, I know what you meant. Michael is psycho like a son of a bitch. I like your podcast. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Michael, first of all, what do you constitute as a cheap suit? A dark colored suit? A cotton suit? A satin suit? What do you constitute as a cheap suit? Is it a specific brand that you constitute as a cheap suit? What do you think is cheap? Then, while you think about that, I want you to notice that billionaires dress poor and poor people dress rich. So if I look poor, then I'm doing a good job. I wear good form-fitting suits. Well, show me then. Show me a good form-fitting suit. If you got time, because we got a little bit of, we're going to be up here for a while. You got time. There you go. You want to click the link, approve the mic, approve the camera, make sure you're dressing in one of those good form-fitting suits, and then you jump up here on the podcast so we can take a look at your good form-fitting suit. Go ahead. I'm going to be honest with you. I do not wear form-fitting suits. And the reason why I don't wear form-fitting suits is because form-fitting suits are not going to take size changes. And when I talk about changes in size, anybody who's Second Amendment ready, you know that you might want to strap your body armor on that day. And if you've got a form-fitting suit that doesn't form-fit your body armor, then you're not going to be able to wear the suit and the body armor at the same time. I don't wear body armor over my clothes. I wear it under my clothes. Therefore, if you're going to get a form-fitting suit to your body armor, it's not form-fitting in this podcast because I'm not wearing my body armor on the podcast. Now, there you go. You say name one. Why do I have to name a suit? You're the one that's talking about you have name brand suits. You name one. You notice. I challenged him to come up here and show me some of his fancy attire, and now he's not trying to come up onto the show. This is how you know they're trolling. If he's got successful high-end suits, then he would be wearing them on the podcast. It's an open channel, bro. I'd be able to see you in the thing and see you with a suit on, put you up here on the screen where everybody else can see you with the suit on, buddy. But you're not there. It's not about what you wear, it's to how you treat people. Exactly. Lynn knows what we're talking about. Lynn knows exactly what we're talking about. And the to the end of the podcast, I always tell you guys that you're supposed to carry yourself to a higher level of standard. Doesn't matter what kind of clothes you wear, but you're supposed to carry yourself to a higher level of standard. Dress codes does get you into a better accessible environment. So if you're wearing suits, if you're wearing dress casual, business casual, instead of wearing clothes that make you look like you're an escort, if you're wearing the type of clothes like ladies, y'all can wear business suits. Y'all don't have to wear skirts and dresses. Y'all can wear pants. Y'all can wear slacks. Y'all can put on a blazer with a blouse or a slip on, and y'all can look successful and look professional. And exactly, Lynn, I'm gonna get to that comment. I just seen that one. And the fact is that you don't need to show off all of your bare assets to be attractive. You could be attractive and be professional. You could be attractive and look like some of the female politicians. Look at all the women in Congress. There's a lot of women in Congress. None of the women in Congress got short shorts on. None of the women in Congress is showing cleavage. None of the women in Congress is really showing elbows. A lot of them aren't really showing shoulders, to be honest with you. You know, you can't, most of them got their shirt up to their neck like I do. You feel me? You can dress conservative and still be respected as a female, still be attractive as a female, and not have to wear overly tight clothes. Fellas, if you don't want to be pistol whipped by a police officer, instead of you looking like Lil Jon in the East Side Boys, you start dressing like you got some goddamn sense. Then instead of you talking to individuals like Michael, who have no other business on the podcast but to try to heckle it, you can ignore negative behavior. Because once he has something to say, then we'll talk. But until he starts talking about something of relevance, I got to skip over his comments. Special shout out to Mike Denault. Watch how much money still goes to Israel. Oh, look, hey, you know, they said that they stopped 90% of the money that they were sending overseas, right? So 10% of money is still going overseas. So you ain't lying, bro. There might be some countries that still getting some cash outs, but the countries that's not doing what Donald Trump wants, they not getting nothing. That, see, he was here yesterday when we was talking about stuff. A special shout out to Denault again. Oh, hold up. Got you again. She said, look at how Elon Musk dressed. Exactly. Look exactly how Elon Musk was out there with a regular size waist length shirt. When that man threw his arms up, you could see his belly button. And that's a billionaire. He got on jeans and a t-shirt. Then he goes in the White House. What does he do? Jeans, t-shirt, black blazer on top of the t-shirt. He didn't even have to do a button-down shirt. He just had on a regular Fruit of Balloon t-shirt. He put on a black blazer on top of that bad boy, and then just stood there with some black jeans on. So black Wrangler jeans, a black blazer, could have got it from Walmart, and a black Fruit of Balloon tie, and he was black on black, looking just as professional as the president of the United States. And he ain't got to go out there with no $50,000 suit. And then Mr. Raz, special shout out to Mr. Raz. He says, them haven't been this mad since Republican. I'm going to put that up there. Democrats haven't been this mad since Republican President Lincoln ended slavery. I'm going to let that marinate. I'm going to let that marinate. He ain't even lying. They've been super pissed. Super pissed. But what can we say? You know, when they ended slavery, they ended a free labor force. They had to bring the free labor force back, but they had to rename it. They still got the free labor force, but it's not forced labor anymore. The free labor force now is community service, work release programs, volunteering, and unpaid internships. But we still got slavery. It's just you put yourself in it, and then you can leave whenever you feel like it. So, where are the eggs at? Ain't no females here, Lucifer. Special shout out to Lucifer, first time tonight. I think you're back from once before. Special shout out to Pete Stocks. No, actually, this tie did not come from Fruit of Balloon. This tie came with the other suit where the name at. This is one of those ties. I'm not going all the way up the damn tie to find out what the brand is. I buy different brands from different places. But it don't hurt my feelings for you to think that I got a poor man with a poor suit with a poor tie. I don't really mind that. I'm okay with that, because if you think that I'm poor, then you know that I don't have he said cops. Well, they probably a few of them up here. There are probably a few of them up here. Oh no, cops is not a free labor workforce. Cops are the slave drivers. What you talking about? Because they picking you up off the sidewalk, and they putting you in jail before they even prove that you did something wrong. You going from the street corner to the jailhouse. Then you sit in the jail for 3 days, and you got to talk to the judge so that you can get a bond. Now you stuck in the system, and then you got to prove that you didn't do nothing. So you're guilty from the day that they put the handcuffs on you until you prove your innocence. And until you prove your innocence, you stuck up in the system. As my homie's nickname was Wash and Wear because he showed up in a suit and we asked him who made it. That's cute, Pete. That's cute. He said, now check my previous comment before I said cops. He said, watch how much money still goes through Israel. Cops. Now, while we're dealing with what's going on there, back to exploring business deductions, because today we were supposed to be talking about taxes too. So when we talk about this, that, and everything in between, we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I take a couple side notes, a couple side topics, but back to the so you had something else that you wanted to. Hey, look, now I don't control the feed. If whatever it is that you were supposed to be saying, you're gonna have to change the verbs and nouns and adjectives and put it back up there in a more appropriate fashion, because a lot like Miss Cat, most of y'all can't see nothing that she says on the channel because of her name. The only time y'all can see Miss Cat is when I put her comments up on the channel, but she's here. But they have this thing that y'all know. While I got y'all here, I'm gonna tell y'all something real quick about YouTube. Nothing negative, but y'all just need to know this. To keep YouTube from being sued like everybody else, YouTube had added a while back this restricted mode. And what it is, if you go into your general settings on your cell phone or your laptop, most of y'all are watching me from your cell phone in the For You page. But if you go into the general settings of your cell phone, you're going to see at the bottom a restricted mode. If you turn that off, you might be able to see Miss Cat up here and any other podcast or channel that has been rated by YouTube as primarily adult only content. Adult only content is content that has a lot of vulgarity, so profanity and derogatory statements, controversial topics, sensitive topics. Controversial and sensitive are not the same, because controversial topics are things that people argue about. Sensitive topics are things that hurt people's feelings. And then so stuff like that. My channel is one of those channels that's thrown into that category. And as a result, while I'm allowed to air, very few people see me. So you might find that there's a lot more content on my channel that is accessible if you turn off that restricted mode. The rest of you guys, if you get a VPN, the restricted mode isn't affecting you, then yeah, you'll be able to see my channel and all the stuff on my channel as well. A lot of podcasters have taken a massive hit. I want to say since August or September because of that restricted mode that has, because they didn't advertise it to everybody and tell everybody they were doing it. They just, no, I can't. You said, oh, nope, I see Michael. And okay, so Michael said something smart. Can be controversial and sensitive at the same time. It can be controversial and sensitive at the same time, but it also can be either controversial or sensitive. And that's why I want to tell you that there is a difference between the two. They're not the same thing. They can happen at the same time, but they're not the same thing. Can you not see my comment because it talks about cop killing? Probably why I can't see your comment, because that would be considered a sensitive topic. What happened with a cop being taken out? No, because when I said be respectful, you said that's a given. When I said be respectful, you did everything but it's apparently not given. Common sense isn't all too common these days. Oh, that's all I'm trying to say. Well, I did not hear about a cop losing his life recently. I know that cops lose their lives on a regular basis in the line of duty, but I look for the ones that were like, oh, that shouldn't have happened to that cop, because a lot of the times what we see on the internet is mandatory death penalty. I've heard about the mandatory death penalty. I've also heard that they are moving somebody, I think, from Texas to New York to administer the death penalty. So I have not talked about the mandatory death penalty on the show, but there was an executive order that Donald Trump had made about enacting the death penalty, and then capital crimes that includes violent crimes against police officers was included in those individual scenarios. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're defending your life and then you end up going up against a police officer and that police officer loses his life, you'll be facing like capital murder, looking at the death penalty for self-defense. So you got to be careful when you out there talking to those cops that got no self-control, that don't deserve a badge, but they out there fussing at you and threatening your life and your safety, drawing guns at you because you won't hand them your driver's license when they don't need to touch your driver's license. They just need to write down the information off of it because you don't want to get out the car, because you don't need to get out the car. They're just making you get out the car to assert their dominance on you, that kind of stuff. So like, I have not seen in recent times a police officer that died an unnecessary death. I would feel bad about the unnecessary death. The police officers that get got in the line of duty because they're harassing people at a traffic stop, I can't comment on those, because if you would have treated that civilian better, you probably wouldn't have got. Likewise, the civilian, had you been a little bit more respectful, because most civilians are aggressive to police officers out the gate just because they got stopped. And that's why police officers have reason to be aggressive at the traffic stop. Body cameras have dissolved this a little bit, but even with the body cameras on, these police officers are snatching you out the car and pistol whipping you and all this stuff because they can, until that body cam hits the courtroom, and then they've got to settle in a lawsuit. But not a lot of people have the money to pay for lawsuits. You got $5,000 to $10,000 that you got to put down on a retainer fee to have a lawyer represent you for a guaranteed win case. And then if you don't know how to represent yourself, where you can at least start the case and get close to a guaranteed win, and then have a lawyer take over the case because that case is open and shut, then you're not going to be able to get it into the court, which means even if they're breaking the law, you can't afford to sue them to get reparations for it. There are very few lawyers that'll work pro bono. He said, no, I'm sorry. Why my original comment won't go through? I don't know why your original comment won't go through. Oh, you said everything I was thinking. Oh, okay. Well, at least I tried to cover what you was talking about. But yeah, if you can't afford to pay for a lawyer, that's why people are able to do what they do, because poor people can't afford to get justice. And because poor people can't afford to get justice, people who got money can walk all over the poor. That's why I told you capitalism is about taking advantage of the poor, the ignorant, and the what was the other one? Because you have the poor, the ignorant, and then the weak, the elderly. Because you've got the people who can't do no better. You got the people who are too stupid to do better. And then you got the people who can't afford to do better. The poor people will take it how they live because they can't do better. They will sacrifice themselves to make a buck, and they can't stop people from walking all over them because who's going to represent them? There's very few pro bono lawyers, especially in federal court with civil rights actions. There's very few lawyers in that area. A lot of lawyers that are in civil rights violations are typically looking for $5,000 to $10,000 retainer fee here in America. And if you can't represent yourself and you can't show them that this is an open and shut case, they're not going to represent you, which means that you have to you have to look up all the laws as to what happened to you. If this is a regular occurrence, you have to do deep dive research on it and then file a lawsuit. You have to file it yourself and get it as far as you can get it. The amount of money that they pay on it, because a lot of companies put money aside for legal fees. And if you're working your way into a big business by yourself, you need to have some lawyers on the side. I see you, Jokes. Special shout out to Jokes. He put that up there. He said this guy is going to get Nigerians mauled. I don't know about that. Thank you, Laid Off. I'm definitely a trustworthy guy because at the end of the day, I ain't got no time to waste money on deceit because I make more money on transparency. That's how life works. Special shout out to Laid Off Milkman. Shoot, you shouldn't even be laid off right now, bro. With drop shipping, you should be like UPS picking up the milk and dropping it off to put enough preservative in, put it in the glass jar so that it doesn't ferment, and then just ship them across the country. If they can drive milk across the country in the back of trucks, you can drop ship them bad boys to order. And then since you're your own manufacturer, you don't got to pay all the extra costs. You can offset the price of milk to the customer. The amount of money in milk at damn Walmart, you might be able to make you a ton of money just sending milk directly from the house. You got you enough cows to put it out there. And then Walmart.com, you could probably put some products up there on Walmart.com and they'll buy it straight off the stove and get it shipped to the house 2 to 3 days. Fresh milk. All I'm saying is, you can make money somewhere other than working for somebody else. And that's where the podcast started. We started about talking about the imbalance in this country and how we can do better in that imbalance. And then I just said, you know what, let me just spin this. And it was about September, right when Mr. Pibb stopped coming up. I said, man, I'm just going to start talking about how we can do better. I'm going to show y'all ways that we can do better. And that's what we started doing. I started just literally running through every which way that we could do better, be better, perform better. And at the end of the day, now that's what the whole podcast is about, to the magnitude that the podcast has 3 links to Wikipedia about business, social improvement, and knowledge. I take that as a compliment because we could have been tagged for some other stuff. But that's where we're themed right now. What do I think of? What is that? San Gandhi. I don't know anything about San Gandhi, but since you asked about it, I'm going to look into San Gandhi. Special shout out to Wajiwal Jain. First time tonight. But we were just talking about what he said. Sanganese. No, I don't know about those either. But I'll definitely do some research on it and let you know. So we were talking about exploring the business deductions. So if you're self-employed or own a business, you want to take advantage of deductions like qualified business income deductions, QBIs. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list and put it into the podcast put it into the membership for the members, where you guys can see what qualified income business deductions there are here in the United States. I told you guys before that if you're spending money deliberately for tax deductions, and just like I told you today, if you itemize all of your deductions, if you take scan the receipts, all the purchases, make a PDF file, put all the receipts into a PDF file, and then do you like a QuickBooks or something like that, or Excel spreadsheet scenario where you're keeping track of all of your purchases that are deductible and which categories they qualify for deductions under. And then if it qualifies for deductions in 2 different areas, you want to label it in every area that it qualifies for a deduction, but you want to mark it where you know that that's in more than one section, so that you're not claiming the same thing multiple times, because you want to get the largest deduction off of that one purchase, but you want to see which section gets you the most deductions off of that purchase. Now, if you're itemizing and you're spending 40% of your income on tax deductible items, then you might put yourself in a position where you ain't got no problem with filing taxes, because when you start claiming all the stuff that you bought this year, they're going to be like, well, shit, you shouldn't pay us no taxes. And then you don't pay no taxes. And a lot of the times, if you're a small business owner or something to that effect, if you're able to incorporate your standard of living into the overhead of the business appropriately, then you'll be in a position where all your bills is paid as part of the overhead, and the money that got spent can sometimes be tax deductions under the business overhead, where you end up, if you had to pay taxes, it would be taxes on money that was wasted. But either way, if you have it a setup like most of the people do, their money is invested by the end of by quarter 3 or quarter 4, by week 3 or week 4 of quarter 4. So between the 20th and maybe the 28th of December, you're trying to get your money on the books so that it is considered invested before the 31st. You want to get it before that weekend so that it's on the books, and you want to do it 2 or 3 days before the end of the last day of the month. So you kind of want to get it in there before the 27th so that it's on the books by the 31st, so that on the 1st, you ain't got nothing that wasn't already spent from last year. And then when you go and file your taxes, you're like, hey, I got this loss, this loss, this loss. But then during the year, you can cash out on certain gains and have those gains sustain your standard of living throughout the year, which is why you'll see a lot of stocks that go up in December and go down between January and April, because you can live off of the standard of living that you have first quarter, pay off all your bills for the year, and then take all the rest of the money that you get and invest it into the stocks. And if you spend more money than you make, you're not paying taxes, but your standard of living is covered in overhead. If you're not expensive, so apparently cheap suits and bargain basement ties, if you're not expensive, what am I paying right now? 5-7 cents a suit per day. So cheap. Yes, I agree. But I could acquire a very massive quantity of attire for a very small quantity of capital. And instead of being that pastor that got audited with $7,500 worth of Louis Vuitton clothes, I would not have to do any of that. I would not have to sit there and explain where I got this 52-bedroom house from. But yeah, I'm going to look at trying to put qualified business income deductions into the channel. Special shout out to Pat Ponitz Jr. I'm never good with these names. He said, hey man, I'm in my 30s, but I can only pull cougars older than me. Not Bitcoin, but damn, it's been a while since I pulled a chick in the 20s. Yeah, you're in your 30s, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now, because we talk about special shout out to Carl. We miss you, bro. Carl, I'm gonna get to your comment real quick. I gotta talk to Pat, because Pat is he should have been here Sunday when we was talking about this. Pat, you in your 30s, so you in the in-between, Quill. You gonna pull them older ladies because the older ladies is looking for a man that's gonna put up with their bullshit. they're going to come and get you because you in your 30s and you supposed to be stable. The 20-year-olds is not stable. The 20-year-olds are not financially responsible. Men start getting their shit together between 30 and 35. We start trying to figure out a new way between 35 and 40. We start investing in that way between 40 and 50. We start solidifying that way between 45 and 55. And we start making it make sense between 55 and 65. So the earlier you are when you start getting your shit together, the younger you are when you're financially successful, unless you learn from your elders. Then at a younger age, you can be more financially successful and then be more attractive to more women. Now, at 30, you're going to attract 30-year-old women, 35-year-old women, 40-year-old women, 45-year-old women that are not appealing to most men that are still looking to have children. Those women are also not as appealing to most men because some of the women in America, the Western women, are set in their ways and they don't want to change and they don't want to be partners to their men. And those women are going to be a bad choice for a young man like yourself in your 30s that's trying to find a woman that is going to be a partner to your operation. My best advice to you is that you put that on pause, bro. You want to find women that are, oh, he said not Bitcoin. I thought he said not Bitcoin. If you're trying to find a woman that's in her 20s, the women that are between 18 and 28 are going to be looking for men between 45 and 65 because those are the men that are financially stable. You in your 30s, since you're in the in-between, Quill, and I'm going to tell all the men on the channel right now, men are typically playthings for women until the women make 30, 40, 50 years old. Then the women start looking to settle down. The men are playthings until the men are about 45, 55, 60 years old. It takes a man 3/4 of his life to become financially successful. If it takes you 15 more years to be that financial success that you're looking for, you'll be 45 years old. That's when a 20-year-old will come and talk to you. The rule of thumb is 50% of your age plus 7. So that's what, 22 for you. At the end of the day, you're looking for somebody in their 20s, between 22 and 28. The older they are, the more likely they have 1 to 3 children for 1 to 3 different men. So, you know, I know like most men are looking for a woman that's more cooperative and more compatible to the objectives and the agendas. And the 30 and 35 and 40-year-old woman would actually be a fantastic, because you still got 5 or 7 years left before menopause. They would be fantastic if they were willing to be partners in a relationship. But because they're not, it's terrible that the trauma that they've been through and the abuse that they've experienced over their lifetime, that now they're looking for a good man where they're going to throw negativity out into the dating field and demand that this guy meets all of her expectations. But she wants the man to accept her as she is, including take what I give you, not what you need. And that mentality causes the rift in the middle-aged and older dating field. So yeah, the cougars are going to come after you, bro. I could tell you right now, at my age, I've got women 5 to 12 years older than me reaching out to me on the platform. And I'm going to tell you right now, once you pass menopause age, I don't even respond to the text message. I don't even respond to that. It's disrespectful. But I'm going to be honest with you. And that's what the ladies feel. The ladies feel it's disrespectful. But I'm going to be honest with you. At my age, I would expect to see 5 or 7 more kids in my life, which means that the woman still got to be able to produce them. Because as a man, if I'm dating a woman that cannot have children, in order for me to continue to have children, I'm going to have a second woman that I'm having children with. So if I'm not dating a woman that is okay with me having another woman that's giving me children, then the woman that I'm dating is going to end up leaving because I am getting children from another woman. So instead of me getting a woman that cannot have children, I would only go after women that can have children, because my desire is to have multiple children. That, ladies, is the dynamic as to why men are not necessarily going after a lot of women that are older, because if those men still have that mindset, then that's going to shift their decision-making process. Now, Carl said, hi, brother. Sorry, I haven't tuned in lately. The reason I've been taking care of my mother in the nursing home, but this guy is amazing. He's got amazing advice and wisdom. I appreciate that, Carl. I really appreciate that. And hey, you got to stay strong for your family. If you don't have time to come to the show live, because at the time that we air, you at the hospital or the nursing home with your mom and them, that's fine. I leave all of this stuff on the show. So whenever you got time, you can always go back and watch one of the older shows. You can always throw a comment in one of the shows that you've seen and let me know that you saw it and you learned something from it. It does about, I see all the comments that come into the show before, during, and after the show. I respond to as many of them as I can if they start becoming too many of them. But those of you that are some of the most valued fans, y'all see y'all name going across the screen. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't going across the screen a moment ago, it's going across the screen right now. Some of the most valued fans that I got on this channel right now, if I see your message out of 150,000, I'm responding to you if I don't respond to everybody. So just note that some of the most valuable fans on this channel, y'all get my undivided attention as often as possible. Carl also goes on to say it's better to get mature women than immature women. You're setting yourself up for pain. And well, okay, yes, and yes. Okay, so there's a difference between getting a mature woman versus getting an older woman. You want to get a mature woman, and that's one of the reasons why you're not really trying to chase them at 17, 18, 16, 15, 14. You're trying to get one that's somewhere in their 20s or so, but it doesn't make sense for you to go after an individual that does not make good decision-making skills. And those individuals that are not reflecting those good decision-making skills could also be in their 30s and 40s. So he is right. You got to find you a mature woman, not a immature woman, because if you're looking for a mature woman, but you're looking for a mature cooperative woman, a team player, you're looking for a partner. You're not looking for somebody that's kind of dominates your industry. Christopher, special shout out to Christopher Kelly. What would you do? What do you mean? What would I do? What would I do with what? What would I do with the discussion I was having when the question popped up about having multiple wives, or what would I do about I didn't get what question you're asking. What would I do? And you said I'm very serious. What would you do about what, Chris? What would you do about what? Scroll up. Did I miss your comment? No, your comment didn't show. Your comment didn't show. I don't know what you wrote into the comment, but whatever it was, YouTube did not allow it to go through. You're going to have to reword it and put it back in there, because all I see from you, special shout out to Christopher Kelly, it says I'm very serious. And before that is what would you do? So what was the question that you wanted me to look into? I had nothing to do with that. YouTube is very small equipment. Well, what would you do with small equipment? Well, you work with what you got, buddy. You work with what you got. I mean, you have the ability to deal with even at a young age. You're gonna get your experience as guys, because guys are chasing everything. Hold on a second before I get to your comment. I don't want to pass up Tristan. Special shout out to Tristan Detergent. I don't know I'm terrible with these names. Tristan says 1 Corinthians. Hold on. I think he just put the Bible up there. He said 1 Corinthians 6:18. Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. So special shout out to Tristan Tygert, because he's quote. I told you guys on the show once before that if you was to read Corinthians 1-31, it'll tell you how to treat each other. It'll tell you how to behave. It'll tell you how to hold yourself to a higher level of expectations. And you can find just about everything that you're seeing in Corinthians. You can find that all throughout the Quran. So, I mean, there's 2 different religious backgrounds that are talking about how to behave yourselves and how to treat each other. So you should really take a look at that. So as Trisha said, don't just stop with reading Corinthians 1. Read all of Corinthians 1-31. Read all of them. To matter of fact, if you could Xerox them some guns and put them together on a scroll and paste them up on the wall somewhere, do that, because that's what you need to do. Christian, you said I'm good looking, so I'm embarrassed and haven't had many girls. Well, you're not going to have to worry about that, Christian, because if you're good looking, you're eventually going to have more girls. You said very embarrassed, 2 girls, and I'm 35. That's not an issue. You have not been emotionally traumatized yet if you've only been with 2 girls. That's actually a plus. You have more time to get your stuff together. You have more time to focus on your money and get your affairs in order before you start dealing with all of the fails that the rest of us men have had to deal with wasting a bunch of money on women, entertaining women, and then they're walking off with half of our estate every single time. So a lot of us are broke because we've had 20, 30, 40 relationships, and each time we have to start over. And the older you get, the harder it is to start over. So if you've only had 2 relationships, even if those relationships ended badly, you haven't experienced as much trauma. And I'm gonna be honest with you, bro, it's not about the size of the equipment, because actually anything less than 6 inches is good enough, and anything over 6 inches they complain about. So unless they're OnlyFans girls, they're not really after the forearm length or nothing like that. They're really only as long as you. But again, with what Tristan was just talking about, self-gratification overstimulates the body. Overstimulating the body desensitizes the body. Desensitization of the body limits gratification when you start procreating. So once she gets into the mix, because she's got a bunch of battery powered equipment that's knocking everything out before you get there, by the time you get there, there's not much that a bro can do that Duracell can't. So if she was to withhold herself until you got there, then the desire to make something happen would happen a whole lot less, more difficult than what it would be if you have to follow the machine. He said it's not fair that women will get so often if we criticize any part of their body, but they backsize jokes all the time. Bro, they be demasculating men on a regular basis. These females be coming on to everywhere. They was on this channel a few weeks ago with me and Carl and Joseph. We was all on here and we was talking about improvements and everything like that. And they just came, the 3 or 4 of them came up in here, and all they wanted to do was shame the men, because the men said, look, we got a problem and it's negatively impacting the ladies, and the ladies have to change the way they do things in order to see an improvement in the problem. Bro, as soon as we said that the ladies was part of the problem that they had to fix, they just started attacking the channel. I was like, wow. I think I got like 2 or 3 thumbs down that day. I was like, wow, they bitter. But in order for you to be pissed off about what I said, it had to affect you, because the shoe fit you once I described what the shoe looked like. So, I mean, it's not on me to come onto the podcast and make people feel bad. That's not what I'm here for. But first person accountability, you have to recognize when you're fucking your own life up in order for you to make changes. So if I don't point out certain areas that will negatively impact your future, and then you listen to what I say and say, shit, I'm going through that right now. If that's what you're thinking when I'm telling you what's going on, that's where you need to make your first change, because I'm only going to talk about the shit that don't make sense, and then I'm going to talk about how we need to start making it make sense. If it don't make sense, we need to stop allowing it to happen if we're not doing it, and we need to stop allowing the people around us to do it if we're not doing it, because the first person accountability, we're responsible for what we do. We're responsible for how what we do affect the people around us, and we're responsible for how what we let other people do around us affect us. That is all first person accountability. So it's your fault that they acting stupid around you because you're not putting a stop to that. It's your fault that you're negatively impacting them because you know better. It's your fault that you're negatively impacting yourself. So instead of blaming other people for the stuff that's not going right, the first thing you have to do is change your own mentality on how you're getting stuff done. Christopher says she's been with like 30 guys, I suspect, and it bothers me. Well, I mean, if she got more miles on her than a 1974 Ford Geo, then I don't even know what you're doing with her, because you can't make a hoe into a housewife. You can't Captain Kirk the bitch. If she is not wife material, bro, you are sleeping with a girl that is for the streets, and that is renting the girl. It's equivalent to an escort. If she is not going to change herself to be a higher value woman, if she wasn't a higher value woman with bad choices back in the day, she's not changing. She's not going to end up to become a higher value woman going forward, because she's choosing not to change. If you're choosing to stay with a lower value woman, you're going to choose to stay with a bunch of headaches, which is going to leave you in a catastrophic scenario where you're going to be emotionally and psychologically damaged for the 3rd or 4th girl that you decide to date in your life, because the girl that you're talking to right now ain't good for you. If you have a lack of trust right now, don't even move forward with it, because at the end of the day, it's not going to benefit you to stick with something that does not have a future. You want to back out of that one, and you want to pay attention to a female that's valuing you, prioritizing you, putting you first. Because if you do that, you can value, prioritize, and put her before you. But if you're putting her before you and she's putting you before her, that's the difference between heaven and hell. Because I told a story on the show once before. The difference between heaven and hell. Everybody sitting at the table eating with this massive spoon. You take the massive spoon and you feed the person across the room for you. They eating. They take their massive spoon and feeding you across. It's easier for you to feed the person across the room than it is for you to try to feed yourself. So if you looking out for them and they looking out for you, you know what they need because you see where they coming up short. You taking care of them. They know what you need because they see you coming up short. They taking care of you. You're in a healthy relationship. But if you're taking care of her and she's taking care of herself, you're not in a healthy relationship. Likewise, ladies, if you're taking care of him and he's not taking care of you, then you're not in a healthy relationship. It's supposed to be mutual. It's supposed to be a symbiotic situation, equivalent to the law of alchemy. What you put in, you're supposed to be getting something out of this. But if he's putting in and you're the only one getting out of this, then you need to get out because you're not contributing to the success of the situation. Tristan said, I will make a helper suitable for him. From this Bible verse about relationships, we can see clarity that God created man and women to be together for companionship, love, and friendship. Desire a companion and partner in life is a ingrained human trait, one that God named the very named in the very being. He got again Matthew 5:28. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Now, special shout out to Tristan, because I was just sitting over here telling the ladies to stop dressing with lustful intent so that the men would stop looking at them with lustful intent. And now here come Tristan quoting the Bible about lustful intent. Y'all gonna understand that it benefits y'all to stop carrying yourselves that way. And then, fellas, if we stop condoning it by rooting them on with that, then they'll stop doing it because they're doing it for the attention. And if they stop getting attention, they'll stop doing it. Christopher, you said, should I let it bother me that my girl has been with a lot of men? No, you shouldn't let that bother me. Either she's loyal to me now, though. Well, if she's loyal to you now, don't worry about what she was doing in the streets. If she's not acting like that with you, then that's fine. If you got to start GPSing her cell phone and tracking her and Clifford the Big Red Dog trying to find her, Blues Clues trying to track her down and stuff, then it ain't worth it. If she where in the world is Carmen Sandiego and you can't find her when she's supposed to be present, that ain't worth it. But if she always there when you need her, she always got your back when times are tough, she looking after you. Say she had a kid young and stayed with the guy even though he treated her poorly. So you're saying that she got a kid and every time the kid needs something, you got it, she got you, then that's it. Now you saying that you think less of her because she got a kid with a dude that mistreated her and cheated on her? Bro, a lot of us make bad decisions. We got to learn from the mistakes. But if she learned from the mistakes and she's going to treat you like a king and she's not going to devalue or degrade you with her son or daughter, and you're going to be able to piece together this makeshift family, and she's hopefully young enough to give you a couple of kids of your own, but it ain't just hers, it's y'all's, then go ahead and make that family, bro. I'm never going to sit here and tell you that a woman is not valuable just because she'd have been through some shit. I'm telling you that the ones that got piss poor behaviors, that's not willing to change, that's not willing to improve themselves, that's not willing to be a partner in their next relationship, even if they wasn't a partner in their last relationship, you can change in between relationships. If they're not willing to improve from their last breakup to their next relationship, then they're not worth it in their next relationship. But if they change, learning from their mistakes from the last relationship, whether she broke up with him or he broke up with her, if you change and improve, then you will be worthy of the next person. And that's what you're supposed to be trying to find out is, what did I do wrong in the last relationship? Stop blaming the other person for the breakup. What did I do wrong? What was my contribution to this failed relationship? Because those people who have 10, 20, 30, 50 relationships in their past, whether they jump offs, whether they hookups, whether they friends with benefits, whether they're long, serious relationships, whether they were play things, it doesn't matter. 10, 20, 30, 40 failed relationships in your past, the common factor in all of those relationships is you. Therefore, first person accountability. If you've got more than 2, more than 5, more than 7 failed relationships in your past, failed romances in your past, you need to change your decision making process in these upcoming relationships so that you don't continue to have a bunch of them. The population is almost 1-to-1 between 18 and I want to say almost 30. Then it starts becoming 2-to-1, where there's 2 women to every man. So, ladies, if every man locked down one woman after 30 years old, half of the women would be single. So instead of y'all dropping bodies like men are dropping bodies, and y'all got there and y'all dedicated yourself to one, y'all have more success. Because for every, you got to think about this: if there's one man for every woman on the face of the earth, even if there isn't one woman, well, if there's one woman for every man on the face of the earth, because there's less men than women. There's one woman for every man on the face of the earth, even though there isn't as many men as there are women in certain areas. The fact is, ladies, if you've got 30, 50, 70, 100, 1,000, the ratio is supposed to be 1-to-1. That's how many extra men you done destroyed and thrown back. It's just like fishing. When you pull a fish out of water and fuck it up and throw it back, it's the same thing. And these men are damaged men that after they finish with you, they damage. And now you got 30, 50, 70, 100,000 damaged men. Now these damaged men keep getting thrown back. Not because they're bad men, because the women aren't treating them right. Now, when you decide to settle down, what's left in the dating pool? All the damaged men that the young girls was playing over, messing around, mistreating, throwing them back. Now y'all having trouble finding a good man that will put up with y'all, because the damaged men that are good men don't want to put up with this, and they're not going to date y'all. The damaged men that are not good men might date y'all, but they beat y'all ass and get revenge on you for what the last woman did. And neither situation is good for you. So if you water your garden and take care of your field with these young men, and y'all treat the young men better, the young men will grow up to be better men. Just like says Tristan's talking about these. Hold on, he said she took her ex to court to finally get child support, but then she did him in the back. Well, yeah, I would lose respect for her in the bathroom too. I wouldn't even be talking to her. Would you agree that getting phone numbers means nothing nowadays in regards to dating? Oh, I'm gonna talk about that, Pat. Hell no, they're getting them numbers don't mean shit. The thing is that what were we talking about? I was on a roll there. I was talking about so ladies, when it comes down to the men, like Tristan was talking about, in the Bible, they took a king, they put him into the village with the commoners, and just told the commoners that one of the children was the new heir to the throne. So all the children got treated like gold, right? Instead of pointing out which one was the prince, they told them that all of the children are likely one of them will be the prince. So to prevent from being mistreated by the future king, all of the women, all of the people treated all the kids like they were kings, which gave the next generation of children a better upbringing. So when a new king takes over, the new king is going to be more humble, more respectful, and more appreciative, because he grew up in a society that was humble, respectful, and appreciative. Now, if you take that Bible verse and you put that to your behavior patterns, y'all in y'all early 20s, y'all want to get out there and play the field. Even if you play in the field, don't mistreat the men, don't disrespect the men, don't degrade and devalue the men. Because when you in your 30s and 40s and you decide to retire, the men that are left are going to be the results of your behavior from 20 to 30 years old. So they did this to us yesterday. See, when I start getting on the roll, they like to throw a curveball on me. I can't help it. T-Mobile is supposed to go to fiber optics cable soon, and it hasn't gone across the country. It started in Georgia and in Florida, and as it makes its way to the West Coast, it'll be like $200 a month for 2,000 gigabytes up and down for fiber optics, but it'll be well worth the price if I don't have to deal with stuff like this with the broadband, because it seems like the tower in the neighborhood just crashed again, and we got to deal with that northbound tower that is not doing a good deal. Now, Pat asks, would you agree that getting phone numbers means nothing nowadays in regards to dating? First of all, Pat, most women are not even willing to give you their real phone number. They're going to give you their social media handle. I don't feel comfortable with giving you my number. You can get my Snapchat, my Instagram, my Twitter account. Bro, if they're not willing to give you their phone number, their real phone number, you're not willing to talk to them, because I mean, if you're trying to, you're not trying to be added to the collection of followers, because you're not a follower, you're a leader. If she ain't willing to get with the program, then that's all right. I ain't trying to talk to you. Because how are you going to meet her in person, and then she's going to redirect you to her social media handle so that y'all can communicate in her DMs so that you can potentially try to meet up with her in person again? If she don't have good intentions for you, then she's not going to give you her real phone number. Really and truly, you don't need to ask for a lady's phone number these days. These alpha boss ladies, it's 2025. If these females ain't out here making the first move, why the fuck are we trying to make the second and third and the fourth? At the end of the day, if you think that she's attractive, you give her your phone number and you let her call you. If she ain't going to call you from her phone, then she ain't the one for you. Because your girlfriend gonna call you on your phone number. Your wife is gonna call you on your phone number. So if this girl ain't trying to fit that role, ladies, y'all need to start being girlfriend material and wife material out the gate. If y'all thought material out the gate, fellas, we need to stop talking to them. So no, I ain't even trying to ask her for no phone number. I'm gonna tell her this is my phone number. If I give you a fucking business card, that's about it. And if your ass don't call me, then it ain't gonna work. And I'm gonna be legit. I'm gonna give you a phone number to a phone that never ring, like the bat signal. So whenever that phone ring, I tells you what, I'm answering that bad boy, because that bad boy don't never ring. So it must be you, because only 5 people got that phone number. Now, ladies, how many phones does this man have? Like 8. So are you gonna track all of them? If you have to, it ain't worth it, because a woman that's on my ticket probably going to be screening my calls anyway, because I ain't got time to answer the damn phone. All I do is work. You seen the phone ring twice while we was on the podcast. If my girl was here, she'd be answering the phone so that the phone wouldn't ring during the podcast. That's how it worked. Crystal said, I found a diary where she wrote that it completely ruins her accomplishment of finally taking him to court. Well, if she's gonna make stupid decisions, she done went to court to try to take money out of his pocket instead of taking care of herself, and then she got caught in the courtroom bathroom smashing a chick, bro. I mean, she kind of messed up her own scenario. If she was out there for the money, because she wasn't out there for the child. Because if she was out there for the child, she'd have got a second or third job so that she wouldn't need the money. But if she out there for the money, she shouldn't be smashing a dude in the bathroom in a courthouse. Gold diggers do stuff like that. Wife material don't do stuff like that. Wife material don't smash folks in bathrooms. Wife material don't smash folks in airports. Wife materials don't do scandal behavior. Okay? Doesn't matter what it is. If it's a scandal behavior, if a rich person would have done it and it would have been a scandal, wife material don't do that. So, if these are the reasons why you have no value in a woman, then sir, if you ain't got enough respect for her, if you don't respect her because of the bad choices that she made in the past, you're going to have to leave her because you don't respect her, which means that you're eventually going to resent her. The more you find out about her, you're going to dislike her. And that's going to cause you to mistreat her, whether it's intentional or accidental, subconsciously, because you don't respect her. No man should be with a woman that he doesn't respect, the same way no woman should be with a man that she doesn't respect. Because you should not be mistreating the other person just because you ain't got no respect for them. You should be with somebody that you admire and respect, you value, and you want to make sure that you let them know that on a regular basis. Now that I've gone through most of those comments, let's get back to what we were talking about with today's show with taxes. You want to make sure that you review your W-4s, and you want to adjust your tax withholdings to avoid overpaying throughout the year. Now, you guys can seek some professional help with this, and I know that I got some of my homeboys that I didn't talk to because we had one of these guys on the show, Joe Mastrano, and he was a CPA. And if you want any information on him, you can definitely, I made that a spin too. You can definitely take a look at his webinars. You can send him some emails about it, stuff to that effect. He was here on the show several months ago before tax season. And if you mention this and that when you contact him, he'll give you 10% off during tax season, because we have until April 15th to do our taxes. And he's one of those certified CPAs, been doing it for 30, 35 years now, 40 years now. He's been doing it for a long time. So if you want to seek professional help and consult with tax professional like Joe Mastrano, or any type of financial advisor that you have on your payroll, to identify strategies to tailor to your specific situation, you'll be able to reduce the quantity of taxes that you have to pay, if not eliminate it altogether. I was talking to you guys on a show back a while back, how me and some of my homeboys got together and did some taxes. And my homeboy was able to, utilizing Joe's assistance, we was able to get, what was it, $28,000 or $30,000 worth of taxes cut off of his taxes. He went from owing to getting, and it was fantastic to see something like that. So I strongly recommend it for you guys to take a look at it. Give him a holler. He'll have a consultation with you. I can't guarantee every consultation will be free, but I guarantee you that if you reach out to him and start talking to you, he'll give you some introductory information to give you confidence in his work, and then you can take it from there. Just make sure that you let him know that this and that sent you over there. There's the description in the comments there. They got a link right here. Well, that's not a live link. And if you want more information, you can always ask for it, because here on This and That, we give you all the information that you need to be successful. So throw it in the comment section that you're looking to get more information about that CPA that we talked about, and I'll send you guys a message on it, let you know what's going on. Now, foreign earned income inclusion is FEIE for the tax year 2024. Filed in 2025 this year. U.S. citizens can exclude up to $126,500 of their foreign earned income from U.S. taxation. If you're married and both spouses work abroad and qualify, they can exclude up to $235,000. Now, how is that beneficial for us? Well, if you're an American, you go to another country, you get your wife, you bring her to America, marry her, get her citizenship. You and your wife go back to her home country, start up a business that's making $250,000, excluded from your joint tax funds. I told y'all are a business. Y'all are individual businesses that did a joint merger, and now you guys are a conglomerate. And $235,000 worth of money coming from out of the country that is not included in the money that you're making in America. And that's the combined income for the 2024-2025 tax year. The exclusion must be claimed by filing taxes with U.S. Government in order to get those returns. And you have to report the foreign income, which means now they know about the foreign income, which means they're going to be keeping track of that foreign income. Now, I also said yesterday and day before yesterday, because somebody was telling me, oh, you have to file taxes, you have to do this, you have to do that, taxation is voluntary. Not everybody reports, and the IRS only keeps track of what has been reported. There are some other things that I'm going to be going over what the IRS looks at. That does not mean that if you're making millions of dollars that you can walk away with not having to give them a dime, but if they can't find enough reported income for them to take action on you, they're probably not going to take action on you. But if you qualify for only part of the year, the maximum limit is adjusted based on the number of qualifying days that you have qualified for the tax credit. So if you just got married and y'all just started qualifying, quarter 3, quarter 4, something like that, they're only going to give you on that portion that you guys qualified on. So you got to be careful with that. Foreign tax credits. The U.S. citizens can claim a credit for taxes paid to foreign governments, which helps avoid double taxation. So if you have other countries that mandatorily tax you on the income that you earn in their country, then if you claim that taxes on your U.S. tax return, then the U.S. will credit you on that to some degree. There are tax treaties where the U.S. has tax treaties with many countries that may provide reduced tax rates or exemptions on certain types of income. For income that doesn't qualify for exclusions or credits, the standard U.S. tax rates apply. So for corporations, the global intangible low tax income is a minimum tax on foreign income, generally resulting in an effective rate of 10.5%, which is less than the 20 to 21% that's supposed to happen in America for the US taxes. And it is increasing to 13.125% after 2025. The foreign derived intangible income is a reduced tax rate of 13.125, increasing to 16.4 after 2025 on certain foreign derived incomes. Now, I've been telling you guys for a while that donating to schools are a thing to do. I'm about to get into that in a second, but I want to make sure that I touch base on Pat. Dude, I might owe like $2,000 in taxes. All that grind became ironic. Being single and childless is basically illegal to the IRS in California. Well, if you talk to Joe Mastrano, he'll be able to help you out with your taxes. And in addition to that, you do have abilities to have deductions. If you have an LLC, you can utilize the LLC to get business tax deductions through your personal W-2s. I did 2 or 3 shows about that, about C corporations, LLCs, the difference between the ability to get donation deductions from your C corporation and not being able to get donation deductions from your LLC, but being able to get donation deductions from your personal W-2 and the business deductions from your LLC, which together gives you all the deductions that you need, where you don't got to worry about paying as much taxes. But yeah, we talk about all that stuff on the show. And it's not guaranteed that you'll be able to pay nothing all the time, but you definitely would be able to pay far less than what you've been paying if you knew that there were more tax deductions that qualified. And also, if you have an LLC or a C corporation under your name, and you are the executive investor into that business, anything that you invest into your business is a tax deduction on your personal taxes. So if you're buying stuff for your company, your startup company or whatever, as long as your company is turning out some kind of a profit, you're able to collect tax deductions on the investments into your company year over year. So that ends up leading you to not having to pay taxes also, which puts you in a good spot. So it's always good to give it a shot, to like and subscribe and follow the channel. And then also make sure that you go ahead and touch base with Joe. I'll put his information back up there for you one more time. You can go ahead and take a look at Joe. And I think this is his, if it's not his email, it is definitely the information to go to one of his seminars where he can get you set up with a CPA to help you with your taxes, because we have until April 15th. It's only March 5th. We have until April 15th to get taxes done. So you got about 40 days left to get your taxes done. And after that, if you file, you got penalties. And if you don't file, I mean, whatever they took from you, they keep. Because that's the thing. If they take money out your check all year, you're not going to get it back, but they're not necessarily going to come running up to your doorstep talking about I'm going to audit you to see if you owe me more. But if you didn't give them nothing, they got up until 10 years to come and get it from you. If they don't remember who you are because you don't make enough money, they'll never come and get it. But they got 10 years from the end of the fiscal year to come and get it from you if they know that you owe. Um, Donations to public schools, I was telling you guys about before. You don't even have to have children, but if you donate it to public schools, that's a tax write-off in the fiscal year that you donate the money in, and up to 5 years after you donate the money. The IRS allows taxpayers to claim deductions for contributions made to qualified organizations, which includes public schools that are supported by state and local governments. So public schools are qualified as government entities and are often recognized as 501c3 organizations, making donations to them tax deductible. Dollar for dollar tax deductibles more often than not. And to claim those deductions, you must itemize on your tax return rather than take the standard deduction. And even if you use TurboTax, you just have to say, hey, I donated money to X, Y, and Z location, and have whatever voucher that they are going to have, which has their tax ID number, your tax ID number, how much you gave, and the date that you gave it. And up to 5 years from the date of that voucher, you can use it if you haven't used the whole thing. Now, you can't use the same donation more than once. If you use the full magnitude of that donation, it's done. But if you don't have enough taxable income to claim the full amount of the donation, the remaining donation that wasn't claimed on your taxes can roll over to the following year, and then it'll be used then. And it can continue to roll over up to 5 years from the date that you did the original donation. So the deduction amount is equal to the value of cash and property donated to the school district programs. Now, for non-cash donations, you should use reasonable valuation methods to assess the value of the donated items. Typically, I would personally, because this is public school, I would want my public school to function better than a private school. And as a result, I would prefer to donate brand new equipment. That way I would get full tax deductions off of brand new stuff, not depreciated items because it's used. And then the kids don't get good stuff because they're getting used stuff. So I would prefer to get them brand new stuff. I would also prefer to do cash donations to the school so that they can allocate it in more places like teacher salaries, because teacher salaries are not going to be compensated by MacBook Pros, but the teachers, the pencils and paper and other stuff that they're getting from the school, it's not going to be as easily calculatable as I wrote them a $10,000 check last year. So think about that. And you are looking at the deductions of any property or services you receive from the school in the return has to be noted as well. So you must reduce the amount of the charitable deduction by the value of any property or services you receive from the school in return. So if you give them money and they do something for you outside of teaching your kid, then they're supposed to, you're supposed to offset the latter. But if you are in a situation where, like, your kid is in the public school system, you're donating large quantities of checks, and they're like, oh, damn, that's what's up, then you can get those vouchers and use those vouchers and write it off, which means that your kid could get a private school education from a public school if all the parents did this shit. And then all the broke parents are getting this as a tax write-off. So you're not spending extra money because you're just not giving it to the U.S. government, because they're technically going to give it all back to you with the tax credits from the returns. She said, you're a good guy. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's that picture. I tell you what. Now, you want to keep proper documentation for your donations. Cash donations over $250 requires a letter from the organization, which means that they're going to give you a written document saying that you gave them money. And all cash donations should have some type of receipt. Some states, like Arizona, offer additional state tax credits for donations and stuff to that effect when you're doing this for public schools. So, for example, Arizona allows a dollar for dollar tax credit up to $200 for individual filers and up to $400 for married filers for contributions to public schools. So if you donated $4,000, they'd give you $400 extra dollars back on your state taxes, which is different from federal taxes. Now, since we're talking about taxes, a private trust generally must file taxes. And that's usually when the trust has assets to claim. Now, a domestic trust must file, and that's a domestic trust is one that's located in the U.S. And a domestic trust must file Form 1041, where U.S. income tax returns for estates and trusts if it has any taxable income for the tax year or gross income of $600 or more, regardless of taxable income. And a beneficiary who is a non-resident alien is supposed to also be on there. And the filing deadline for those trusts are also going to be April 15th of the following year. So it's due now from last year, and it's going to be due April 15th of next year for this year. Now, exceptions to the filing requirement include revocable trusts, because during the grantor's lifetime, income is typically reported on the grantor's personal tax return 1040 form. Grantor's trusts, these are going to use the grantor's social security number and report income on the grantor's personal tax return. Now, beneficiaries pay taxes on distributions they receive from the trust's income if they claim it, if they report it. The trustee issues a Schedule K-1 tax form to beneficiaries when making distributions, indicating how much is taxable income if the trust reports it to the IRS. Beneficiaries report income from the trust distribution on their individual tax returns using information provided on the K-1 form. Now, distribution from the trust principal, which is the original amount placed in the trust, are typically not taxable to beneficiaries. Now, that's going to be a loophole, because if you put more money and stuff into the trust, then the money coming out of the trust, it is less likely that the money that you are receiving is dividends earned from capital gains, revenue received. However, if it can be proven that stocks, bonds, and shares, rent paid, and everything else from real estate that's going into trust, where there is more money going into the trust as a profit directly, that money being dispersed to the beneficiaries becomes tax deductible. But see, here's the thing: what a lot of the wealthy people do is they have the business donate the money to the trust, which is not an earned income. And by that being the original installment, it's not taxable when it's given to the beneficiaries. So instead of the trust turning a profit from doing business, the business turns a profit, and then the business donates the profits to the trust, and then the trust just issues out money that was given to the trust, and that information is not taxable. Now, also, money donated to the trust can, even on your taxes, reduce your taxable income. And when that happens, you end up not having to really pay taxes on the money that the business made, because it was all given away. Now, if the trust retains income and doesn't distribute it, the trust itself may pay taxes on that income. And if the principal includes assets that have appreciated in value since being placed in the trust, beneficiaries may face capital gains taxes when those assets are sold, which is why when people put their houses and stuff like that into the trust, they do like a quick claim thing, and they document it for their own personal records, but they don't actually go to the deed office and pay to change it over for public record, because once it's done in public record, it is recognized. It triggers the contractual sale, which triggers the contractual taxes and stuff to that effect on that. But having a legal document that says, hey, on such and such day, such and such time, ownership of the property went from X, Y, and Z person to the trust, that happened already, just nobody knew about it. They can't come back and say, oh, hey, you're supposed to give me, because I don't own it. The trust owns it. Now, once they do that, then the trust has got to say, well, I've been paying for it. Because if not, then, somebody's going to have to pay something somewhere. Now, distributions from certain types of trusts, such as inherited retirement accounts held in a trust, may trigger tax obligations, which is why you don't want to hold these things in the trust. You want to make the trust the beneficiary of that plan, where that plan is donating the money to the trust, where money coming in is the principal. Nothing is gained, but it's being dispersed to the beneficiaries. That's how you make it make sense. Now, if the trust sells assets to fund the principal distribution, the capital gains taxes may apply in that situation. So it's important to note that while principal distributions are generally not taxable, income generated by the trust, such as dividends, interest, or rental income, is typically taxable to beneficiaries when distributed. So trustees issue Schedule K1 forms to beneficiaries detailing the amount of taxable income they must report on their individual tax returns. For revocable trusts, during the grantor's lifetime, income is typically reported on the grantor's personal tax return rather than by beneficiaries' trust. And the trust may also need to file state income tax returns depending on the state specific rules. For irrevocable trusts, the trust itself may pay taxes on undisturbed income, meaning that it went in and nothing ever happened to it. And while the beneficiaries pay taxes on distribution they receive, the undisturbed money is taxed taxed to the trust. Now, keep in mind, this is for the US based ones, the domestic ones. This isn't the ones that are from overseas. Now, if you have a trust created in a country that doesn't tax the locals, and that trust becomes an owner of the estates in America where there are no restrictions from American entities that prevents that foreign entity from owning American properties. When you fulfill that particular arrangement, now you have an offshore trust that owns your American-based assets, and that trust is exempt from whatever requirements that you would have to accommodate in that state. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that where your assets are located at, that your assets may not have to pay for certain things. But if you have a trust that is in another country and that trust does not get taxed, as a beneficiary of that trust, your money can go overseas and then come back to you and not be considered taxable income. But remember to consult with a tax professional such as Joe Mastrano, who will shave a large quantity of capital off of your ability to save taxes. And let's see, he was on the show a while back, and his information is up here right now. And he can come back onto the show again if I call him up. But if in event that you can go back and look at those videos and see what we were talking about with Joe Mastrano with the taxes. But if in the event that you don't want to use a live CPA, you can also use tax preparation software. TurboTaxes is becoming very popular these days to ensure that you are following most current tax laws and regulations when claiming deductions for the school donations and the tax laws that are changing frequently, especially in the next couple of years. So it's essential to stay informed and plan accordingly. Now, while these strategies can help reduce your tax bill, it is crucial to comply with all applicable tax laws. So always obey the law. The media. I want to tell you guys real quick, because we talked about this over the last couple of weeks, and I told you guys I was going to get the numbers because I wasn't sure what things were from last year, but this year I've got the numbers. And look, the ladies hit the nail on the head. So for all you gold diggers, this is for you. So now y'all can justify y'all claims. Y'all gonna be mad, salty, and wet. I'm gonna let you know right now. So the median single party salary income in the United States for 2025 is around $61,984 per year. And this figure is derived from the Bureau of Labor Statistics data, which reports that the median weekly earnings for full-time workers is now $1,192 in quarter four of 2024, which translates to about $61,994 annually. It's important to note that the median salary can vary significantly by state and region. For example, Washington State has the highest median salary at $86,558, and Mississippi has the lowest median salary at $51,554. Now, the median salary provides a more accurate representation of typical earnings compared to the average salary, as it's less affected by the extremely high or low outliers. For comparison, the average salary in the US for 2026 is reported at $66,622, which is significantly higher than some of these averages and significantly less than other averages, but that's due to a lot of the people that are millionaires and billionaires. Now, ladies, the median two-person household income in the United States for 2025 is projected to be $87,550. So, two-party income last year used to be $72,000. Two-party income this year is $87,550. This figure is derived from the Census Bureau's median family income data from bank purposes, which provides the most up-to-date projections for 2025 income levels. So when they was talking about $100,000 a year, man, yeah, they were calculating inflation. But it's important to note that this median income varies significantly state by state as well. So, for example, with Washington State, their highest two-person median income is $100,800. And in Mississippi, the lowest median income for a two-person household is $62,496, which means that in that state, one of the lowest two-person incomes, each person is making around $31,000 apiece. If they're both making almost the same amount of money, or one could be making $32,000 and the other one could be making $30,500, and they're averaging together $62,000 apiece. Now, the median cost for comfortable living for a family of four in some areas of the United States in 2025 is estimated to be around $100,000 to $110,000 per year in 26 states. A family of four needs to earn at least $100,000 annually to be considered financially secure. And the living wage for a family of four varies significantly by state, ranging from that $82,000 that I was telling you about, which is located in West Virginia, to over $250,000 in Hawaii. Now, monthly expenses for a family of four including rent, are estimated at about $5,934. This is rent per month, $5,934 for rent. Annual costs for necessities like housing, groceries, and healthcare range from $26,650 in West Virginia to over $80,000 in more expensive states. Now, I just told y'all the $8,500 would give you a nice spot in Japan, $12,000 in the Philippines, Cambodia, Russia, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand. It was like $15,000 in Mexico. You know, I've been going over so many countries where 2 months in America for the rent is a whole year for the whole standard of living in another country. And that's before you start including everything else. And in another country, it includes the healthcare. The standard of living includes the healthcare. In America, it's just a rent. Now, the median cost for comfortable living for a family of two in the other areas of the United States outside of the first 26 that I mentioned, in 2025 is estimated to be around $230,000 per year. So for a single adult to live comfortably, the income needed ranges from 78,790 in West Virginia to $116,022 in Massachusetts for one person to live comfortably in the United States right now. So for a family of four, 2 working adults, 2 children, the income needed ranges from 177,798 in Mississippi to 300,184 in Massachusetts. So while specific data for family of 2 isn't provided in every state, we can definitely estimate that it falls between these ranges, and the median income needed for a family of 4 across all states approximately $230,000 a year. So factors affecting the cost of living include housing, food, healthcare, and transportation costs, which vary significantly by state and between urban and rural areas. So coastal states and major metropolitan areas generally require higher incomes for comfortable living compared to inland states and rural areas. I told y'all, I'll be digging some information up. So, we've discussed the challenges of high taxes in your home countries and explored a few countries that offer more favorable tax laws. We've also looked at particularly surprising countries that could significantly change someone's financial outlook. We've also looked at the standard of living in certain areas in America and how it is costing us a shit ton of money to make it make sense around here. And since men have to make $80,000 a year to live comfortably by themselves, these women that want $100,000 a year man, the request is valid now because inflation has met the overstated demand. So, ladies, now you've got some financial facts that you can throw down on the table as to why you need a man that makes $100,000 a year. After you throw them facts down, you need to start talking about what you bring to the table that makes you valuable to a man that's going to be spending his $100,000 a year on you when he can live comfortably by himself for $80,000 a year. So he's got to make an extra $20,000 a year to make you comfortable. What are you doing for him to make that make sense? While you guys are trying to figure that out, make sure you put your answers into the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on tax strategies and other such investment opportunities. You leave that in the comments. If you're interested in learning more about financial independence or international living, be sure to check out some of the videos we're going to be talking about tomorrow, because we will be discussing places to go in England. We will be talking about those non-debt based interest bearing companies that are in other areas, those Indian trade companies, and ways to invest in them, because apparently you can't get in there direct, like I said. And since you couldn't get in there direct, we're going to be talking about indirect ways to get in there so that you find legal and secure ways to invest your money in places where your money will make money for you, even if you have religious beliefs that conflict with your ability to invest normally. So make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Remember that we are live every night of the week about 10:30 Central Standard Time, which is about 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's about 7:30 California time, which is about 4:30 a.m. Greenwich time, which is about 4:30 a.m. Universal Standard Time. I think I've covered all of the time zones of relevance. And I managed to march through all of the information that we had laid out for y'all for today. So I greatly appreciate anybody who's still hanging out with us. And for the new people that are popping up, I want to make sure that are you a pro wrestling manager? You know what? I got you. Special shout out to KJ. Special shout out to KJ Kelvery. Are you a pro wrestler manager? No, I am not a pro wrestler manager. But while we're talking about pro wrestling managers, I am going to say that I have an open challenge for Travis Scott's hardcore title. Matter of fact, we can make it triple threat. Chris Brown first sight, hashtag Chris Brown first sight, because he said that if anybody talk about his females, he gonna get them first sight. So we talking about hardcore title. Me, Travis Scott, Chris Brown, we can make it do what it do in a WWE ring. I'm down for the get down. So y'all start spreading the word. Xander from This and That is challenging Travis Scott for the hardcore title. You think you can get that bad boy for nothing from Triple H? Boy, I beat your behind for it. We took tables, ladders, and flavored chairs. Oh my. He done got out there. I don't even like Cody Rhodes. He done got out there and slapped the taste out of Cody Rhodes, and he ain't even earned that slap. I'm waiting on him to get the receipt. He done slapped the taste out of. If Cody Rhodes don't kick him in the face and flip him over the top rope, he got to get his behind whooped for that. You can't tell me that he got Cody Rhodes covered in blood and slapped the taste out of Cody Rhodes, and he ain't gonna get no action. He better get beat up too. You can't jump into a WWE ring and dish it out and not get it back, because Zach Gallion was in there, one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, and he was hooving to Guerrero off the top rope, winning title belts and all kind of stuff. And if a man with one leg can get into the WWE and make it do what it do, Travis Scott better get in there and do a whole lot better than R-Truth. So I got an open challenge for Travis Scott right now. He got the hardcore title. Remember when the hardcore title was 24/7? I'm out there 24/7. I want him. I want that title. Shoot. I ain't talk about sitting over here trying to get no replica. I want the one Triple H made. That's the one I want. I want to earn mine. That's what I want. But needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Also join the membership when you have time. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And then for the rest of you fellas, we're about 75% of the podcast is guys right now. I strongly appreciate y'all flooding in once y'all found out what was going on here. Make sure that you share us with people that you know, people that you don't know, people that you know got something negative to say, people that you know that can learn something about it, because we're going to teach everybody everything that we possibly can. And then once we start taking this worldwide, y'all will be able to see I told you so before I told you so. So thank you guys for coming to the show. Real quick, matter of fact, I'm going to put y'all out there one more again, because I appreciate y'all for coming to the show. Real, there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Up to the fans. Special shout out to y'all one more again. And then special shout out to all the countries around the world that's been watching us. We really appreciate y'all. Ukraine's been showing us a lot of love lately. Nepal, Russia, United Kingdom, Philippines, Vietnam. We really appreciate all y'all for showing us love on the show. I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I'm your host, Xander. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground. living